the billions of stars twinkling overhead, one may be a scourge to life on Earth, an evil twin to the sun named Nemesis. Some scientists suspect that Nemesis is a dark, still undiscovered star orbiting our sun. And every 26 million years, it triggers a disaster.
We know that the solar system is surrounded by this enormous cloud of comets, and so these successive passages of the sun's companion would send comets into the inner solar system. Some of them would hit Earth.
We actually can't calculate because that depends on the intrinsic structure of the comet. The comet, as we mentioned, is lots of ice and lots of dirt. We really don't know how dense it is. We know it's about 2 billion tons of ice. It's about 1 mile across. And the wonderful thing about NASA, we actually can't calculate. As we said before, we just don't know. We actually can't calculate. As we said before, we just don't know. 2 billion tons of ice.
ISON is 10 times bigger than Lovejoy.
It's about 1 mile across.
ISON is 10 times bigger than Lovejoy.
We actually can't calculate. It's about 1 mile across. 2 billion tons of ice. We actually can't calculate.
ISON is 10 times bigger.
Crazy message about, which is the reason I wrote my book Laughing Gas, which was that Britain would face a choice of whether we choose to stay in Europe or cut our anchors at this time. And you know, you might think that David Cameron is pro-Europe, but I don't believe that's the case. I believe he's orchestrated this. He was the one who set up, who brought about the European referendum in the first place. Then you've got Tony Blair, you know, representing sort of like Europe at the moment, while the Chilcot case is going on, which is disputing whether the Iraq war was legitimate. Not that Tony Blair can be prosecuted in this, because he's got immunity from this from the very start. So you've got this person that's representing Europe that we all absolutely loathe. We've got all these characters representing Europe at the moment. You know, Tony Blair was going to be the president of Europe, but was he? You know, in Europe it was an absolute joke. But Rupert Murdoch and all the tabloid papers are making us feel as if we absolutely loathe Europe at the moment, as if we want out. And this is a big part of the whole political play that's happening as a result of what's coming in here. This is much bigger than you're realising. There's a a lot of people truly understand that this thing's coming in and are gearing up for it, and breaking us away from Europe is a very dangerous thing right now, because you break away from all forms of human rights if you do this right now. We head into a situation where we really are on our own, and we know that it's to do this because we are in fear of refugees coming into our country, when we know that these refugees are in many cases fleeing the very bombs that we've actually supplied, and a lot of conflict that we've exacerbated. We know the best solution to this is not to close our borders, but to keep our borders open, but to stop supplying weapons and stop creating wars. You know, we can look and say, did Europe do this? Did Europe do all the crimes that Tony Blair did? Did Europe do all the crimes that David Cameron did? What I consider crimes, you know, invading Libya. I think that was wrong. Just like I thought Tony Blair invading Iraq was wrong. Did Europe do those things? Was that Europe to blame? You know, you've got to ask yourself, did Europe do it? Are you being fooled here? Because guys, I'm not going to be at Glastonbury this year. You know, number one, I've been invited to go along and what have you, and get involved in the Gorilla Bar and what have you, which is a big part of what I've done for many years. But I'm not going to be doing the House of Commons because I'm not really welcome to do that. You know, I'm pretty mad at the moment, probably and soon to be the maddest man in this country. But I cannot contribute to a massive show that's going to be a massive distraction to this EU vote, because I see what they're doing. They're trying to distract you away from it, repulse you away from Europe, and Europe is what you won after the Second World War, after all the lobbying. That's what you finally got, a proportionally run electoral system. And all I can ask you is, if you believe in your heart it is an undemocratic process, can I ask you, hand on your heart, did you vote in that what you call a non-democratic process? Because if you didn't vote, then I can only tell you that what you call was a non-democratic process was simply a non-democratic process for you. Europe didn't do this, guys. Tony Blair, our horrible government, David Cameron, you know, these are all, you know, you can't blame Europe for this. You're being fooled. You're being fooled.
Seek.
Of the billions of stars twinkling overhead, one may be a scourge to life on Earth, an evil twin to the sun named Nemesis. Some scientists suspect that Nemesis is a dark, still undiscovered star orbiting our sun. And every 26 million years, it triggers a disaster.
We know that the solar system is surrounded by this enormous cloud of comets, and so these successive passages of the sun's companion would send comets into the inner solar system. Some of them would hit Earth.
billions of stars twinkling overhead. One may be a scourge to life on Earth, an evil twin to the sun named Nemesis. Some scientists suspect that Nemesis is a dark, still undiscovered star orbiting our sun. And every 26 million years, it triggers a disaster.
We know that the solar system is surrounded by this enormous cloud of comets, and so these successive passages of the sun's companion would send comets into the inner solar system. Some of them would hit Earth.